Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by Neil and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Morning and Merry Christmas.
How
Morning.
are you?
Exactly, Merry Christmas. Are you all excited?
Not
Yes,
at all.
Nathan, we're like little
very
children
well.
around here, hooray. Oh, I'm glad that you're all excited. I'm excited.
We have little.
You
tiny
didn't introduce
kids,
me
that's
right.
why.
What do you mean I didn't introduce you right? Should I have given you full title?
Yes. You're supposed to say, by the faithful Neil.
The ever faithful Neil something Italian sounding, whatever his name is.
Correct.
That's good. Everyone's sparse today because it is actually Christmas Eve when this goes out live, and I think if you're watching this after the fact on the after show or uncut and after show, it'll be on Christmas Day. So a very, very happy Christmas to all of you. I'll bring up the live stream chat, which is something I don't typically do. Normally only when there's a super chat, but as it's Christmas, why not? We'll get the live stream chat up and say hello to everybody who's in there. So big shout of happy Christmas, shall we say, to James Mason, Level Up, which is Paula, one of my moderators. Big shout out to you, Paula. Miguel, James, who I've shouted out already, Kevlar, Soundly's Banana Cam, Heart Will Not Be Silent, Sleeping Warrior, and Science Works in Mysterious Ways. So big happy Christmas to all of you. Shall we do a little bit of Christmas housekeeping? Yes, Nathan, we're super keen. Oh, I'm so glad to hear it.
I'm with it
Driving,
already.
so I'm going to be a little delayed.
Really? Wow. This is a first Christmas Eve special and we're going to be leaning on Discord. This could go badly wrong. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth? No, Nathan. Definitely not. We're
Come on.
debating with the Black
Come on,
Swan.
Discord.
I don't have any proof, so what should I just say no? I mean, should I make shit up?
No, don't make stuff up.
Is he
But
chopping or is it me?
I don't know, but this is going really well on my end. I mean, I'll just have to fill in and pad out the answers myself. It's okay. That's nothing new. Sometimes this happens. And when it happens on a Christmas special, everyone in the audience is really pleased because it means the pressure's on. It's down to me to make this a good show. So no, we're definitely not evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. It's absurd. Moves with the weather. If it had geometric physicality to it, i.e. it could be measured, then it would be obstructing things exactly as they claim in their Earth curve maths. Now, the horizon doesn't obstruct things, it moves around. Sometimes it might seem to obstruct things, but that's not physicality of Earth curve edge obstructions. Because the Black Swan shows it's beyond the limitations of an Earth curve edge with geometry at radius 3959, and therefore they all tell us how refracted that claim to be physical obstruction is. So game over, Earth curve. The horizon isn't Earth curve. We've only got one horizon, and it's not geometric. The horizon in the Earth curve maths is geometric. It's claimed to be blocking stuff. with its physicality. Yeah, game over.
Hey, Nathan, what was that illustration that Eli had the other day with the guy in the hill? Because that was a pretty good one. And we never see that. And even Jose admitted to never seeing that scenario.
His example was to say that if you've got a dude, right, and he's looking at a hill, and along the top ridge of the hill, there's a guy as a walker with a dog, right? Now, unbeknownst to the dude, right, the dog is going to, any minute, run after a ball just beyond the view of the guy looking down on the guy on the ridge. So there's two guys, one guy on the ridge, one guy above him looking down on him. Now, when the dog goes over the edge of the, he's not to his death, but just to go and get the ball, both the dog and the man are obscured by the hill. Right, so that's the scenario. Man looking down at ridge with a guy behind it obscured by the hill itself. Eli's question was, is there ever a scenario when the guy behind the hill is refracted up to sit on top of it when he's behind it, or is there ever a scenario where the hill is projected 1,000 miles behind him when you look out your window or look down on the hill one day? Is that ever a situation where the stuff behind obscured, in this case, by example, the man physically behind the hill from your vantage point, is he ever projected up on top of it, or is the hill ever behind him? Is that ever a case? Yeah. Anybody want to answer? The obvious no.
It looks
Hello.
like he took one of my arguments and just complicated the hell out of it. I've been saying, can you show me the other side of a small hill? Because that would be what you're saying is happening in the Black Swan.
Slightly worse than that.
I'm saying that for quite a bit.
It's worse. They're saying the hill is projected behind the thing it's supposed to be obscuring. So instead of the hill obscuring the man's obscuring the hill now because the hill's gone behind him. That's what the Black Swan's showing. The physical Earth curve edge, formerly known as the horizon, that's Earth curve to you fundy believers in the globe. That's then behind the thing it's supposed to be obstructing. Yeah, physical impossibility, leaving them with only one option, which is to tell us it's refracted, therefore no longer geometric, therefore no longer Earth curve.
They're not getting it. They're still talking about boats disappearing and nonsense like that. Sometimes I feel like I'm back in 2015.
Yeah, that's denial, head in the sand. I said that within a couple of months of the Black Swan being a prevalent argument back in 2020. You know, the reaction is to stick your head in the sand and hope that you can still go around asserting to people who aren't in the know that the Earth curve edge horizon is blocking things. It's blocking this boat. It's blocking this bit of land. Let's work out how much is blocked by it. You're like, no. You only need one Black Swan to show that it's not a physical geometric sphere edge horizon blocking stuff, because it's, according to your own side, refracted. Well, it's not refracted blocking things. That's nonsense. But that's what they've got to tell us, because there's no other explanation when your physical edge is where it's not supposed to be anymore. And therefore no longer physical, no longer geometric, no longer Earth curve. What are you going to do? Well, you stick your head in the sand and hope that no one notices when you assert it's Earth curve again and tell people it's blocking stuff. Yeah, it's debunked.
Oh, we have a guy in here that is pushing and will not let go. And he was on the show, FE Pilot. Keeps pushing, saying that he's showing the geometric edge and also the curve.
Yeah, okay.
He's
Black
not,
Swan. Black Swan.
but he keeps
Black Swan.
insisting.
We only need one to show that it's not
Fraction.
that. The horizon is not a geometric. You can't see the geometric horizon, and I only need to rattle off a few of their own side's quotes. We wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. That's AB science. Nobody's claiming to see physical geometry. That's planar walk. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. That's the rumpus. So he's telling us we can see the geometric horizon. All right, take it up with AB Science, Planar Walk and Rumpus, who have explicitly told us that we wouldn't expect to see it, we'd never see it. And there's a whole horde of people who tell us that we would never, ever see it unless we sucked out all the sphere-shaped air. That would be atmosphere that bends the light at a standard rate always. So if he's claiming we can see physical geometry, he needs to take it up with his own side now, doesn't he? FE Pilot. Go take it up with Rumpus, who's told us it's only ever seen in the maths, or AB Science, who says we wouldn't expect to see physical geometry, or Plano Walk, who says we're never going to see it, or all the fundy Muppets who tell us we wouldn't expect to see geometry unless we sucked out all the air into the sky vacuum that's not sucking out all the air in violation of natural law. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Nathan. Great to see you back. Very happy, my friend.
Yeah, glad everything's all right.
Kinda.
Hello, Ryan.
Yeah, it's all good, and it's not so good, but it's all good. Let's move on. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container? Speaking of sphere-shaped air that's always going to bend the light to never allow you to see a geometric physical sphere edge, that's Earth curve horizon. Any evidence that you can have that gas pressure sphere-shaped air without a container, without it dissipating into the available volume of space?
Of all the claims, that is the one claim that is... I don't know. Not that the others are provable, but that is the one claim that is beyond ever being proven. It's so far from reality, I can't even put it into words.
Brian, I had a guy on 24/7 tell me this morning that raindrops prove that gas can form in a sphere shape. And I was trying to explain to him.
Rain is water. It's not gas.
That's what I said. That's what I said. I said the air takes the shape of whatever container it's contained by.
Ask him why raindrops are raindrops. Ask him why they're a drop shape. Ask him that and see if he knows.
Yeah, having had the gas fill the availability of volume and then undergo a phase change, it then descended through other air particles and formed that perfect spherical shape as it fell. Hey, Adam. Happy Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Happy Christmas, everybody.
Happy Christmas, Adam. And everyone else.
Merry Christmas.
To all you Irish guys, I just passed a sign while driving. It said, "Don't drink and drive."
Good advice. People who drink and drive are idiots.
Yes, they are. Used to be one. I was a complete idiot. Don't do it.
Yeah, but you know
No,
something?
never do that.
Hold on. When I was a kid, my uncle owned a liquor store, and he used to bring us to Pennsylvania. He had a big van. We all used to jump in the van, and he had his scotch right next to him the whole time. Never had a problem.
Oh, well, that's a great story.
Yeah, it was only when he got off.
Yeah, I got similar stories.
Okay, right. It's Christmas, and a lot of people go out and get absolutely plastered, i.e. drunk, and then drive home. And I'm going to say it again. If you do that, you're an idiot. Because you could potentially end your life and end the lives of people around you. Because you can't be asked to get a taxi. What the hell? If you do that, you're beyond reproach. It's just...
Yeah, these days there's no excuse. They got
No,
Ubers, taxi. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter where you're at. You could get an Uber.
But there we go. The problem with drinking and driving is that, from my experience, I don't drink. I mean, I will have a car. Don't get me wrong, I'm not teetotal, but I'm not a drinker. And when I'm around drinkers, they get to that stage after one or two drinks where they're like, I'm all right. And I look at them and think, this is the worst possible moment for you to be going out drinking. The alcohol's just hitting your system. It's just giving you the kick that the drug's supposed to be giving you. And you want to get behind the wheel of a car. But at that point, the drug's given them that little bit more confidence. So at that point in their mind, I've seen this so many times, they think they're going to be a better driver. At that moment, they're actually confident enough that I'm actually going to be better at driving at this point, is what's going through their mind. It's just nuts. Their confidence level goes up.
Yeah, it's
muscles.
totally irresponsible.
It's like beer muscles.
Why they call it liquid courage, right?
Anyway, let's move on. Let's not talk about drinking and driving at Christmas. It's a sad subject, and I'm sure people have got lots of sad stories about it.
Or trying to deter it.
Say again, Harp?
Trying to deter it so that people don't do it, you know?
Yeah, don't do it. Would you, if nothing else, think of the potential 25 years you might spend in jail if you end up killing somebody.
There you go.
Yeah? If
Yeah,
you're a
think
selfish prick and you're only concerned with yourself, think about the 25 years you might spend in jail. Or the severe injuries you might undergo when you crash into a wall and no one's around, it's just your own stupid self and your broken neck, and then all the suffering all the people around you have to endure because of your dumbass crashing into a wall on Christmas because you couldn't get an Uber. Anyway, let's move on. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, but Frankie Goes to Hollywood says, relax, don't do it.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
banned.
that's about something else.
This is
but-
When You Want to Come. I got banned from Radio 1 for that reason. Any evidence of the distance to the sun? When you want to come.
What is the sun?
I don't know. It's that
Electric.
shiny thing up there. Just let me know how I can worship it.
What's the distance to a rainbow?
About the same distance to the sun. I think it's twice that, actually, in AUs.
No, 3 times. Get it
Man,
right,
sorry.
Nathan.
Oh, how
One
many
AU
units
to
are
a rainbow.
complicated. I'm sorry. I'm not worthy.
One AU to a rainbow, 2 to the moon, 3 to the sun.
Not even hard to remember. It's embarrassing, Nathan.
I'm sorry.
Owen, have you had a few?
What?
I was just inquiring if you had a few.
No. I actually woke up like 2 hours ago. No. I'm not gonna. So
It is
too
Christmas
soon.
Eve.
Eve? No, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But
And you
I
can't
believe
drink
that.
within
I might
1 and
have
3.
some later. Right? I got stocked up. I did groceries. So I'm gonna be all here in your way all the day.
I got an extra 2 bottles of cherry Coke. The big ones.
Woo!
Anyway, so distance to the sun, we just don't know what it is. Therefore, we'll ascribe Arwinian units, 5 of them, based on rainbow
Only
distance.
apparent distances and angular relations, which do typically and consistently shift in relation to the observer when they move over the surface of Earth.
Yeah, of
You
course.
should
And
pay more
through time.
attention.
No, I got why it's
to what
compared to
Nathan's
rainbows.
saying.
I totally get it.
So why do some flat earthers say it's 3,000 miles away? It's close. It's local.
Because they reify the angular position based on the presuppositional layout of the map being the terrain into the sun having to be in a very specific actual position. What's a reification?
It's a physical, another Arwinism, another Arwin description is physical assumption bias. They want to put it in an actual place, and they're not. The stars, that is, and the sun.
They're using angles.
Well, it's confusing,
That's what they
you
do.
know. If the angles line up in a certain way, then it gives you an intuitive rush. Like, yes, that means we're getting a grip on what it is because the angles are consistent. They line up in a certain way, and then then that means on an intuitive level, like it's an object right there, and that's the
No, because-
physicality assumption bias that does that.
No, because at 45 degrees and 46 degrees, that would make the sun a different height at both of them. So they're just choosing a degree and saying 3,000 miles. It's actually the borders did that first, and then handed it to flat earthers, who then ran with it. You know, it's complete and utter nonsense. You can't determine the height of the celestial bodies with angles.
Also, if you change your own elevation, it doesn't. Not only does it not skew the angular measurement, it eliminates the need for dip correction. So based on the fact that you can still do the exact same maths without dip, if you're using an artificial horizon or a bubble sextant on a plane, in other words, you're no longer allocating any importance to the elevation of you, you're just measuring the angle to the star in the sky, right? Now, for a glober, they're not going to have to square that circle in any way because it's like, oh, well, it's out at an infinite distance. But for a flat earther with a reification fallacy and a physical assumption bias, copyright Arwin 2017, they're going to have to just square that circle. So, okay, you raise an altitude, you measure the angle to the star, and you draw out your circle, and you don't do dip correction, right? Well, you're drawing that out, and the principle is that it's parallel, so you don't need the dip correction because you've already made your horizontal in midair, basically. Well, that would alter your angle. That would alter the height if they've got a physical height. Now, you don't have to make any corrections for it. In fact, you make less. You don't do dip because you're no longer using something that's ethereal, not actual, apparent, and that would be the horizon. So when you're using that based on the optics of your vision and the scope that you're using, or the optics of the sextant, you have to correct for it. But if you've just established a perfect horizontal at any altitude, then there's no correction to do. Well, that wouldn't work if you've got your physical assumption bias in place. And further to that, to be honest, that long-winded explanation's only been aired because it's nice to air it. Brian knocks this on the head within about 3 statements. You know, if you move out, you change the angle. Does that change the height? Well, it does in the measurements. Right. Well, where are you going to go from there, Mr. Flat Earther with a physical assumption bias and a height to these stars? Yeah? Are you going to just change it when you move out a little bit? No. It doesn't work like that. But we don't know what they are. So while we don't necessarily have to explain why that's the case, we can show how it does actually work. And it works with parallel lines, flat planes, flat sky, and anything in between, because it's all running parallel. You can draw a line in the midpoint between the two and it wouldn't matter. It still works. Now, not knowing what the stars are means I don't have to justify why that's the case. But if you think they're a physical entity at a physical height, then you'd better explain it, and you better actually show me a better measurement than one that changes when you move. Right, that's crap. Sorry, but flat earthers out there that get offended from this, it's like you've just fallen into the trap of reifying what is essentially a claim to be globe projection into the terrain. Well, you've just been duped into reifying it so that it can be held up in false dichotomy. Let's put your model, you reify as a flat earther, this pizza pie pancake AE map that Brian's showing, versus my reified globe model. Let's see which one wins, because that'll prove which one's the world. Well, you're being ushered into a false dichotomy fallacy by way of a reification fallacy. And you're, as a flat earther, guilty of not basically crossing all your own I's and dotting your own T's. Wrong way around. But there we go, that's the point. Go ahead, whoever.
Question, sorry.
Go on, Brian. All right.
No, I want to say very quickly is the question I ask is to people who come up with that, whether they're ballers or flat earthers, is what height is it at your 90? And then they have no answer.
There you go. I said 3 statements. You can destroy it in 1. Exactly. So if you're at the zenith point, so you've got a dude measuring to a star at your location, the zenith. Well, therefore, it's at your zenith. Well, forget the guy that's measuring an angle to it above your head. What's the angle for you? How are you going to get a height from that? Exactly, Brian. You can destroy it in 1 statement. I mean, the absurdity of the physical assumption bias sort of, I forgot about. You know, it seems like Arwin did because he didn't go straight to it. I had to remind him now. But it's because it's like, for me, and I know damn well for Arwin, as it's him that originally rooted it in the terminology, it's like, why would you assume these things have any physicality to them? I don't get it. No, I thought it was just a leftover from having that physical assumption bias forced upon you with a heliocentric belief. It's just something like gravity, I suppose, difficult to relinquish. Well, I've got to have it. Well, why? Well, because it was part of the old model and I want to keep that bit. We knew that they were a physical thing that you could travel to. Well, now they're still a physical thing you can travel to at 3,000 miles. But just 3,000 miles. So why? I don't get it.
It's needed for the straw man. It's needed to deny perspective. This is me that put this picture up. This is, you know, you was asking, has anyone attempted to attack the sextant? Well, Tommy, the Scandinavians against flat earthers, who's the guy that Google SketchUp'd the Blackpool Swan, and we took it apart. What he's doing here is first of all, he demonstrates how a sextant works, etc., etc. Lovely. And then he takes it to a flat plane. And he's making this statement, look, that on a flat Earth, even in Antarctica, you should be able to see Polaris. And this is all physicality, assumption bias, and, like I said, a complete ignoring of perspective and what happens in the sky as you go further away, their relative position and how you measure it. But this is the first, this came out yesterday, Nathan, so this is the first attempt I've seen to challenge the sextant, and it appears to be being based on this this presumption that it has a physicality assumption bias, that there is actually a physical point you're measuring to, and therefore you should be able to determine the height, and consequently you should be able to see Polaris from anywhere across the flat plane.
Hold on, that's based on. Hold on. Your view of Polaris off a flat plane is nothing to do with establishing your position with triangulation using the stars. So what he's done is he's turned the sextant argument, which is based in the useful nature of a sextant, and turned it into an argument about ascertain of the height. Am I correct in my assessment there, based on what you've just told me? I think I am.
Yeah, and by doing so, it proves the Earth can't be flat. This is claim.
That bit will have to have a bit further of an explanation. That seems non sequitur. Unless you deem... No, it's not non sequitur by their standard. Right, I get it. So he's saying, that's why you preface this with to hold up the straw man. If this be our model on screen now, with physical assumption of the stars, then that model fails. But he doesn't say that in those terms. He says the Earth can't be flat. After holding up in false dichotomy the flat pizza pie AE map with physical assumption bias versus the globe.
Yeah.
I see.
According to this model he's built for us, this is what would happen.
I don't have a model. According to this model that he's built for me, this isn't my model.
But that's his understanding of how a sextant has to work on a flat plane and why it wouldn't work. It's very basic, but it's the first attempt I've seen. I say it'll make you smile. It's a little frustrating, but if you get to this middle section, this is the main crux of his argument, as far as I can see. So I'll post the link in chat.
No, you've done a good job of summarising. I mean, you can if you want. Well, fair enough. At least you have a try. But holding up a straw man of some model I don't ascribe to and then burning it in false dichotomy, no, that's pretty weak.
Yeah, but then they come back. Well, then what is it then? If it's not this pizza pie, then what shape is Earth, Nathan? That's what I get.
Yeah, I was nowhere near. I was in a different state when the murder occurs. Well, who did it then? I don't know. I was in a different state though. Well, you must prove who did do it. No, I don't need to do that. I can demolish the assertion that we're on a sphere, and then that model, the one that you were holding up in false dichotomy against some flat Earth model I don't claim, i.e. a straw man you're trying to burn, yeah, that's irrelevant. But the globe model, the one that you actually think is reality, that's still dead at the end of this. You think you've taken victory because you've also simultaneously burnt a straw man of a flat Earth we don't claim? Well, good for you. It doesn't mean that the globe model worked. It doesn't mean that you could acquire an elevation angle with a curved adjacent. Any evidence that you can have an elevation angle when using a curved adjacent?
No, I think this is why they take this route, isn't it? Why it's easier to build a straw man against the flat Earth model, chat a load of nonsense, burn it in front of you, instead of, if you are a baller, addressing the question that's on the table for you right now is, how would it work on a ball, mate? Stop telling me why it wouldn't work on a flat thing, which is how it does work, but please explain how it's supposed to work with your curved adjacent.
See, I think you hit it right on the head. It doesn't work on his flat Earth that he's presenting. And by the way, no word from Neil deGrasse Tyson yet, because I did propose that question to him, and I still haven't got an answer.
Yeah, Adam summed it up beautifully. The idea is to build up a little straw man of a flat Earth you say can't work based on your model of a flat Earth and lots of stereotyping fallacies you'll justify it with. Well, okay. I don't care. That's water off a duck's back to me. And these people throw this stuff up and are like, your model doesn't work, and I'm like, it's almost not even worth responding half the time because you don't understand or follow the debate. If you think that you burning this little straw man is in any way gonna affect my day, you're wrong. Also, it tells me that you're seeking affirmation of your current faith by feeling the need to send me this crap. You want to confirm to yourself by going, "Ha ha! I sent him this and he had no response. Therefore, Earth's a globe." Like, okay, if that's what you need to make yourself feel better, then fine. But it doesn't make it so, and it also doesn't mean your pathetic, blunt little tools are actually going to cut any mustard. They're not.
Right. Because can I say something? It's a good comparison would be that you say, okay, yeah, me and my family, we celebrate Christmas. And then somebody else that doesn't like that says, oh, so that means you believe Santa Claus is actually real. That's so ridiculous. That's kind of what it is. They just project like a way too elaborate kind of conclusion that they've personally drawn over the flat earth and then project it onto us.
Yeah, projection, stereotyping, fallacies. That's what they've got. That and a whole bunch of straw men to burn.
I think that's what my son is at too, because that's his cop out now lately, that we don't have answers to anything. Just disproving that it's a sphere. He wants answers. And I think that's what the whole cry is. They want us to tell them what the world is now that they realize it's not a sphere.
Yeah, that's an easily spun positive though. So you spin that around, it means he's got questions. Saying you've got no answers is projection. Right, no. You've got a lot of questions now. You realise you've been deceived. Now your paradigm shift has occurred. You realise that you've got a lot of unanswered questions that in the previous paradigm were just done and dusted and dealt with, and you didn't have to concern yourself with them. Now you're concerning yourself with them, and you don't want to be. So you project that shit straight out to everyone around you, like they've got to find these answers to your questions that you've got. All right, you've got questions, have you? Well, welcome to the club, me too. Let me know when you find the answers to that. What's that? You don't know what the sky is? What is it then? There's a dome. Will you let me know when you find that dome? What's that? You want it to be my dome so you can show how it's wrong? Oh, no, I'm not claiming that. I don't know. But you've got questions. All right. You let me know if you find out those answers. But don't demand I've got to give them you. Why would I do that? I don't owe you anything. Why would I have to give you answers to this? Nice to know you've got questions, though. Welcome to the club.
Right. They do kind of try to sort of play this social game where they end up trying to enslave you to do all their work for them, don't they? It happens a lot out there where they end up like, oh, so can you prove my claim to me? Or, oh, so what is it then? I demand that you are going to figure it all out and then present me with the full answers.
Well, they say
what they do.
It can't be a dome because, I don't know, it's some absurd. The glass wouldn't be thick enough to hold in all the gas pressure. You go, all right, oh, that's fascinating how you've ruled that out for us. Thank you very much. Was it scientifically invalidated, or did you just decide that that's not the case? Either way, you've decided that's not the case. But you want to tell me that it's not the case, like somehow my argument that I haven't made in that regard has failed, and therefore you've got to win. No, you've just got to answer questions and you don't know how to answer them, and you're blaming me for not having the answers to them. Oh, that's not my problem. Share your pain.
You'll find a general consensus with all ballers that fact about the glass not being strong enough has been agreed by a consensus and therefore has to be fact. Sarcastically saying, but that's the reality. They'll make that statement having chatted with their mates and built a straw man to then use against you. Stuff like that, absolute nonsensical stuff. That's all that's left for them to address now. Instead of dealing with their issues, they want to help us with ours or disprove ours, because what they can't do is apply the same critical thinking to their own model.
Yeah, but when they do, they project it straight onto us. For example, a couple of days ago we had Highlander on, and while he's explaining how Al-Biruni's measuring mountains on flat plains and he's acquiring angles to measure shadows, he suddenly gets asked, how'd you do that with a curved adjacent? And he starts explaining how he's doing it flat. Obviously it's flat. Who's claiming it's curved, he says. Now, at the point that those words are repeated back to him, he starts telling me, the one repeating back his own words to him, how my logic infers that if my house is on a hill and blah, 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 suddenly he's projected out his own cognition straight onto me. Because his cognition telling me how flat it is, well, that could only be attack-worthy. I can't be having these unhelpful thoughts about how flat it is. So quick, it must be the flat earther that asserted this with his logic. No, I led you to state it with your logic. Is that painful? Do you need to now attack your own logic? Maybe you should sit in an argument with yourself for 20 minutes and tell yourself how, no, can't all be flat, like I've just told myself. Because they don't want to do that. That's painful. Cognitive dissonance, it's called. So what they do is they project the one half of the bit that can't make sense in their globe model, that would be the fact that they've got to measure it flat, onto me. So then it's not an internal battle of cognition, it's an external battle where they're holding the position where it's obviously curving, even though they're telling me how flat it is, but I'm the one who's actually saying the bits they're saying about how flat it is for them to later attack. No, can't be flat.
Nathan, you got it wrong, Nathan. You totally got it wrong. His house is on a hill. Your kitchen is flat, therefore Earth is flat. That's your logic, according to Highlander.
Yeah, after he spent a good few minutes telling us about how the mountain's been measured on a flat surface to get angles and how his shadows have got angles that aren't being justified on curved surfaces. So it's not any logic that I'd inferred at any stage of the discussion. It's all him. His claims, his logic, his inference. But once the inference is that Earth is flat, from him, that's got to be projected onto me.
Well, when you pointed that out, like with him and when Phil Belland was asked the same questions, the no that they respond with isn't to you. It's to themselves.
Exactly. Oh, I love it when like minds come together. Exactly. So him saying no, which I put in the edit if you want to listen to the Phil Bell, it's actually Highlander, but he just happened to be in the chat. But he's done the same thing on Ballbusters when he was taken through three questions in regards to the sextant. And at the end of the declaration that he needs a flat plane to do it, Phil Bell goes, no. And so did Highlander. And he's not. He hopes to project that onto me so he can tell me no, it's not flat. But it's them making the declaration of how flat it is. So precisely that no is him having his own internal cognitive battle about how flat it is and how it must be flat to measure it, but while simultaneously holding a sphere belief that can't work. No. Internal pain. Precisely correct.
This guy Tommy that Adam talked about, besides loads of other things that we would obviously use to destroy anything he has to say, like he needs a curved adjacent for the angle, or where is his R value for this globe he's going to claim. Does this idiot not realise that the things he's using for his Polaris claim are longitude lines? Longitude lines are measured in degrees in the sky and then transferred as a direct horizontal straight line distance as nautical miles down onto the surface of the Earth. This idiot, right, is literally proving that the Earth is flat by using the longitude lines. He's an unbelievable twat.
Nah, Brian. You can't make stuff up, Brian.
Yeah, it's all made up, Neil, yeah.
No, none of that was made up. That was just factually accurate in terms of the transposition from what is essentially a flat sky down to a flat ground that you're going to draw flat circles on. You know, Brian's just describing it accurately. Now, when people who don't understand the claim in the first instance start giving you rebuttals, they'll often inadvertently describe aspects that are only capable of being done on a flat surface with parallel lines. But they just don't realise what they're claiming. They're too stupid to understand the claim in the first instance. The people who oppose us, 99% of them are just lazy parrots, and they've parroted something that's come across in a slightly more convoluted, complex way to get around an awkward situation. For example, conspiracy cats. I'll give you the flat plane so I can measure my angle to make every claim hereafter. I'll give it you. Well, most people won't recognise that that's a devastating part of the argument, me included at the time, even when it was pointed out to me. You know, I didn't realise how extensive that was in terms of the devastation that follows if you're making any angular assertions on a curved adjacent based sphere that won't work with angles. Now, The fact that you have to make those disclaimers means that 90% of your audience, probably more, won't see that problem. And then they just start parroting it back to us like they've got some sort of win. And then they crap themselves when we ask them, where'd you get your angle if the surface is curved? They don't know what the hell to do.
No.
I'll give it you. That. Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate. Happy
That's-
Christmas.
Christmas chop.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's that same nonsense the other guy did when he came in here. I think it was the guy that wanted the Bitcoin, right? He wanted to concede to every argument just to proceed with the conversation. It's like, that's not how that works. Remember? He was just like, yeah, I'll concede that you need gas pressure. You need a container for gas pressure. But, listen to my explanation. And it's like, no, that's you just destroyed the argument already. What are you doing? That's the same thing I hear when somebody says, well, yeah, I'll give you the flat plane, but it still doesn't work. So flat then? I don't understand. Makes no sense.
Yeah, Chocolate, that guy, he was really sneaky because he's one of these guys, I can see that gas pressure needs a container. But what he wants to do then is put in his version of the container, which is a force of gravity. It's a real slimy concession, yeah.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
The hell is that?
You must be joking.
You're in a jovial mood today, eh, Brian?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen gas go down.
Go boom boom, like bouncy balls.
Harp.
I've seen it.
Oh my God, Harp. What's going on, man?
Gas expands to fill the availability of volume it has to fill. It's called entropy.
No. Raindrops.
Rain isn't gas.
It can be a sphere.
Yeah. Rain's not gas.
Raindrops prove the Earth can be a sphere.
Did you say raindrops prove the Earth could be a sphere? Let's hear it.
Yeah, sure.
What, the surface tension?
Hold on. He's just throwing it out there, or have you thought this through with a bit of bullshit to back it up to make it a bit more,
No, I haven't really thought it through.
I suspected so.
I love Harp.
Right. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not yet, and I don't think ever.
Nobody in their field uses the scientific method.
By the seat of our pants. It's guesswork.
Leaps of logic.
That's correct. They're not scientific.
I reckon Michio Kaku would be an absolute train wreck if you managed to get in front of him and do an interview with him. And I don't think he'd care. I think he'd just let it all out, like he did in that interview. And he'd be quite, a laugh about it. Yeah, God, he's like, yeah, I know, it's all pseudoscience, really. Yeah, but we've got consensus, and the whole world believes in consensus. So it's all good. What's the problem? That's how I reckon his attitude would be.
I could see him doing that too, yep.
It makes good movies because the new Spider-Man, that's what it was all about, alternate universes, theory, and all that stuff. It makes it possible for these things to happen, where three Spider-Mans from different times could all unite and fight and win.
Well, the sad part isn't that Michio Kaku would say that, is that the ballers would defend him as still being science after saying it.
He could literally say to them, no, the term science is incorrectly ascribed to in my field. It should be called pseudoscience. But obviously, if I call it that, it won't have the same mystique and people won't trust what I say. He could literally come out and say what I've just said verbatim, and the ball-believing idiots would defend him.
Absolutely.
I'm not so sure about that.
I don't know. Well, he's told us.
They've been throwing Neil deGrasse Tyson. They throw Neil deGrasse Tyson under the bus every day here.
Yeah,
Say
that's
he's
true.
wrong. And, I try to tell him, dude, don't you realize that he's giving you an out so that you don't have to try and show us the curve? He says you can't see it. Why are you going to throw him under the bus and try to show us the curve when you can't do it? They don't get it. All they have to do is say, listen to what Neil deGrasse Tyson says. He says you can't see the curve. It's flat. They won't.
Because
They're
also,
that
according to
stupid.
them,
Hold on with that.
also according to them, we're supposed to see that from the beach. So that's a problem. Because
the
there's no
beach. I
beaches
hear
that
that.
start
Go
120,000
to the
feet
beach.
in the air.
Either way, there's a priesthood that we have no connection with. And all we get is the scraps of contrived interviews and when they make minor disclaimers about the reality of their fields, which is to say they're all actually pseudoscience. And in some instances, in the case of Michio Kaku, he knows it's pseudoscience. And he'll jazz up that it's pseudoscience. Well, okay, what can you actually say about that? Well, he's a good spin doctor. That's what that says to me. He's a good spin doctor. He can turn literal pseudoscience into fly by the seat of your pants excitement. Well, that's skill as a showman. Like, you could say the similar stuff ascribable, in fact, in greater quantities, to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah, he's an excellent PR guy for pseudoscience fields that he represents.
Who was it on
Actually,
about? Go on, Chop.
in that statement, though, remember, he's distinguishing between science and pseudoscience, right? Because he's just using the word cosmology, right? Because he says, in science, we're off by a factor of 2 to 10. We call that horrible, right? Something's wrong with the theory. But in cosmology, it's a little different. We're off by a factor of 10 to the 120. That's a 1 with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science. He makes that distinction himself. He's telling you, your cosmology is full of shit.
That's right.
Says it with a really big grin. Like, wow, look how amazingly off we are. There's a massive distinction between these two things, what we think and what is real. It's massive. Amazing, huh? That's his attitude towards it.
Like, it's fun, guys.
Yeah,
Fun,
they're laughing at us.
how pseudo we are. Isn't it cool? How wrong we are with our pseudoscience. Check out this farcical view of the Death Star next to a spinning ball in a sky vacuum. I mean, that's so wrong it violates natural law, but cool, huh? Check it out. Lasers.
I mean, Globers, do you guys get this? Like, this is one of your priests that are telling you that your cosmology is off by a factor of 1 to the 100 or 10 to the 120. And you guys still want to defend this crap.
Right.
Well, you guys get a grip.
Well, what if somebody just starts to claim in that field somewhere and say, like, I've looked over this whole planet Venus thing, you know, I've been fascinated by it, and it seems like it's not the size we thought it was. All hell's gonna break loose.
No,
Right?
that's fine. No, actually, that's not a problem. Believe it or not, no. So, in terms of when you're applying Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, it only offers you scale. Right? Now, you can push that scale up or down depending on what you use to scale it. Now, the fact that we currently have a radius value applied to Venus that puts the distance at 93 million miles to the Sun, for example, is just based on that particular scale. And it's changed a number of times. But how you scale it is up to you. And the distances just depend on you making a presupposition of a physical value at some stage of that scaling. So absolutely you could change the radius of Venus. It doesn't have to be the same as Earth. Yeah, they call it Earth's twin now, but does it have to be Earth's twin? Yeah, it doesn't have to be. You could change the scale up and down as much as you like. To the point where
No.
if you want to, Arwin, and you're going to make a presuppositional value move from the surface measurement with a sextant down to the centre of a presupposed 3959 radius value Earth as a sphere, then you can say they're infinite distance if you want to.
No, but you don't. No, I disagree, because once that is dislocated, that parallel size, things are going to go out of control. And then, yeah, all these heliocentrists have all these things figured out, calculated and all that. And then it's going to just be lost. Like, the scale is going to get lost.
Nah,
If Venus' size is dislocated from Earth's.
Other than the so-called claim to be journey to the moon, changing the scale wouldn't actually matter, believe it or not. The only thing that does have to be absolutely set in stone is Earth radius, because it's been taken from the celestial movements in the first instance. It has to work the other way around, so you cannot change that value. 3959, that's it. It has to back engineer in that manner, in that number. But all of the rest of the values, you can scale them or whatever you like.
Yeah, but that means that that will make it very apparent that it's all extremely fluid. When we've been literally indoctrinated from youth with very specific numbers. Within our
that's
lifetimes.
Correct. And they've changed in not so recent history, admittedly, but still easily changeable and have been changed.
Not just changed, but also in their model, particularly the first, I think, Venus and Mercury, they don't work even in their model with a twin Venus. The system mathematically still doesn't work. I think even the Rumpus admits that, doesn't he?
Anomalies,
Mercury?
they'd call them. Anomalies.
I mean,
well, Mercury doesn't.
we're only off by a factor of 10 to the 120, guys. It's only a little bit.
That's with dark matter. We're talking about scaling the universe slightly different. Don't want to have anyone from the globe side who actually pays attention to their own arguments give me crap about that chocolate.
Well, Mercury doesn't work with the Newtonian gravity model. It never has. Like, from the start, it never worked out. And that's why they say, nah, Mercury's a special case. That's where Einsteinian gravity applies somehow. Like, added on. Like an extra addition to a complete balanced model of Newtonian gravity. And then, and then there's like this Mercury painted over it with Einsteinian, even though that makes absolutely no sense in a model configuration. But they do it, and they have done it for a long time. So yeah, that's always going to be wrong, right? It's never going to work out.
Are you talking about cosmology?
Yeah.
Talking about direct solar system.
That's exactly. That's what he says is off by a factor of 10 to the 120. Very general cosmology in itself.
But I think he was more just applying that to supposed galaxies all out there, right? Because those scales are just out of control all over the place. It's like unsizable. You can't size it up.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Right, but the thing in our planets, in our solar system, right, we have kind of sort of consistent angular sizes. That's why the Venus size does matter. Because then even our solar system scale is going to be thrown in disarray. That's going to be much more problematic.
I think, Paul, when you outranked on this one, Michio Kaku would outrank you within your one bullshit. So,
oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I challenge Michio Kaku to a ball off.
Well, that'll never happen. We'll never be in front of people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, any of the high priests, which is what we're talking about. We will never be able to... We would be expected to be at bended knee, to be in front of them in the first instance, in awe of their presence.
How would you? Yeah. Please expect that.
you can't let that ball off go away. That was epic. A ball off.
This is why I have to keep these guys very hidden from us now. What they want to say? Because
don't get it confused. Other way around.
Any person who understands these arguments can run up on any of these clowns and destroy them in the street in 5 minutes. This is why they can't come out here and debate anybody.
Less than 5 minutes, Chocolate.
Yeah.
Less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But where's out here? Out here is some pen in the dark corners of the internet on YouTube. So
I just mean on the street, like just on a regular street. If he was walking down to the store, to the grocery store to get some milk, and decided to run into somebody who understands these arguments, he would get destroyed right there and then. This is why they have to keep these.
Your screen share's flashing for some reason, Adam. I don't know why.
It's weird, isn't it? That's why I just keep stopping it. Sorry.
Maybe drop and rejoin from the Hangout. That might solve it.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Chocolate. 1 second, John. Chocolate. All anybody would have to do. All you'd have to tell anyone. They wouldn't have to know arguments. All they'd have to do is search for the R value. Right? In every argument they make, there has to be an R value, and then pull them on that. You know, so the average everyday person just needs that one thing and ball over.
Oh, perfect. That gives me a good opportunity to plug Brian's latest video. So, good video, but yeah, you'll need half of that. Are these people slow? It's been 2 years, right? I don't see why they just think that we're not going to notice when they just assume are. Do they think they'll get away with it? I don't get it, Brian. Maybe you can break this down for me. What is the problem? Head in the sand? Is it like we assessed earlier, about 20 minutes ago?
Well, it's a cloaked R now because they don't assert R. What they do is start off by attacking the flat Earth and then comparing it to reality. And when they say reality, they mean like a globe with a measured R value. So, like, my video was about Bob the Science Guy. He has this argument out there where he uses the Haversine formula. And there's two problems with it. What he says, what he does, he takes an actual distance. He uses the Haversine formula, right, to show how that distance works on the surface of a sphere. But what he doesn't talk about is how to show how that distance works on the surface of the globe, he needs to have the R value of that globe, right? And he needs to use the R value of that globe to show this distance. And then what he does, though, which is really sneaky, is he states that the straight line distance, when the straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points, he said the straight line distance between those two exact same locations doesn't work, right? And is shorter than his globe distance, right? But what he's actually doing is he's taking a chord between the two locations that runs through his sphere, right? Which is actually only a circle, and he's then asserting that the chord is the flat Earth distance, knowing that the chord is less in distance than the arc that resides above it. So he's starting off by begging the question that it's a globe in the first place, by assuming an R value and adding in an R value to use his Haversine formula. And then he's adding in, then he's trying to give flat Earth a chord distance as an actual real world distance, and showing how the actual distance is longer than the chord distance, and it works on a globe, so flat Earth is disproven. But this all begins with him needing the R value. Never mind the nonsense he's doing with the chord, which is totally dishonest. It all starts with him needing the R value and using the R value. And it's basically, he's not stating the R value, he's just claiming it without stating it.
Right, perfect timing. Thank you, Brian. Adam, hold on a second, Neil. So that leads us perfectly on to what's on screen now. So take it away, Adam.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to link this a little bit to somebody in Discord was mentioning earlier, why do they deny Neil deGrasse? And Mitchell's put this video up. And at the end of it, there's Simon Dan. And his rebuttal is to say, well, we don't see the edge because of the atmosphere. Not it's flat because it would appear flat. They're denying that. They're throwing Neil deGrasse under the bus. And so that was just a response to Mitchell's lovely Australian black swan. So what we've got here is you can see I think that rock, the peninsula that sticks out is at 7.8 miles, according to Mitchell. You can see the horizon is forming beyond that point. The water's continuing. Mitchell's got an observer height of 5.5 feet. So if we use their ball maths, 1.22 times the square root of 5.5 works out to be 2.35 miles. And as we can see, the horizon is rendering at 7.8, therefore not a ball of radius 3959. Nice one, Mitchell.
Thank you very much. So yeah, when you're assuming Earth's a sphere at radius 3959, as they do in the rebuttal that they offered up to Brian, they're ignoring 2 years of having debunked it. We only need one. We've got multiple black swans because the horizon's not Earth curve. When Simon Dan declares that we're not seeing Earth curve because of the sphere-shaped air he assumes, that's a declaration that we don't have Earth curve to see, even though it's claimed to be blocking boats and buildings. Again, cognitive dissonance in spades. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible, and to all of you for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the PayPal link, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley. A very happy Christmas to one and all, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!